Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast, powered by Carolina Electrical Services. For all your electrical needs, call Jacob Marlowe at 704-320-7357, and he'll make sure to take care of those once and for all. Josh and Nathan are here for as always, and buddy, it's March Madness. It's here. We're currently hanging out, enjoying the first full day of the tournament, watching right now Nevada and Florida's on our screen.
That's right.
So we're going to get into our preview tonight with Iona. It was Carolina's first round matchup. Carolina, of course, got a 1 seed in the Midwest, which was the 17th time they've earned the number one seed, which is the most in the history of the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Of course, they've been giving out the 1 seed since 1979, and this is the 4th time I believe Carolina's been in the Midwest region as in its entirety. So this is not kind of unfamiliar for Carolina. We're normally in the East or the West or the South. There have been some years we've been out West where we weren't a good seed or whatnot, but so that's who we got as Iona, the winners of the MAC Conference Championship, winners of 10 straight. Tim Cluse has done a very good job with this program. This is their 4th straight appearance in the NCAA tournament, so for a mid-major, they've done a good job getting to the tournament on a consistent basis. And early in the year, this team was a tournament-type team because they started off really slow. Of course, they played a lot of big games in the non-conference part to make their money, but with some injuries, they had a player that got kicked off the team for punching a coach, and then just a lot of stuff that just happened that really muddied up their NCAA tournament hopes. And, of course, they rebounded, won 7 straight games in the regular season, then won 3 straight in the MAC tournament to get another bid. So just some thoughts on the Gales, because this is a team that they want to run, and I think the question is do they want to run with Carolina? Then that's kind of my thought is if they want to run, that's fine, but do they want to run with Kobe White?
Can I stop you right there? No. Let's just move on from that question. Running with Carolina, not smart, but you're right. That's how their offense rolls, and that's worked for them in the MAC. Excuse me, let me pronounce that again. The MAC. There you go. You gotta emphasize it to make sure you know which conference you're talking about. But they've dominated that conference for 4 straight years, and again this year, you mentioned it, a slow start, but kind of got things going in the right direction. I love how you mentioned Tim Cluse. I think he's a fantastic coach there, especially for a mid-major team in Iona. And the thing about this Iona team, it just seems different from other years. I don't think that they're quite on the same level. I don't feel like their pace is quite as high just from watching their final against Monmouth. I just really didn't think they were really as fast as they were in the past. And that was what everybody was always looking for from them in the tournament. Now, the problem for them is they've never really had that much tournament success. I remember a couple of years ago, they were an extremely popular pick as a 14 seed to upset Iowa State and really just got manhandled in that game. So when you look at this Iona team, I don't feel like they're quite on the same level as some of the past Iona teams. But again, they've got some guys that can score. I mean, they got 2 guys that are scoring over 15 a game in E.J. Crawford, who leads the team with 17.9 points per game, and then Ricky McGill, who's probably their best all-around player, averages 15.5 a game, 5 assists, and 4.6 rebounds as well. This was a team that I would have liked to avoid if possible. I think this is the best out of all the 16 seeds, I'll say that. But at the same time, I think Carolina, this team likes to play the similar style to Carolina. That's usually not a good thing for opponents because Carolina's talent is just that much better, especially against a team like Iona. Nothing against them. They, of course, aren't going to recruit on our level because they're a mid-major. So I'm with you. I think, Carolina will, clearly control the tempo because they like to play at the same tempo. And I feel like, man, they're going to learn pretty quickly. This might not be such a great idea.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I think is normally when you get into the tournament and you get the power, the top seeds against the lower seeds, that lower seed's going to want to take the air out of the ball just to give themselves a fighting chance. And if Iona does that, that means they're playing out of their comfort zone.
Right.
But also, if they allow Carolina to get the pace that we want to get, that's going to be too fast for them too. So it's kind of odd to see, okay, how much do they want to run? We remember a couple years ago, Florida Gulf Coast kind of wanted to run with Carolina, and they ran with Carolina for a half, but then in the second half, Carolina pulled away. And then I think it was 2011 or 12, we played LIU Brooklyn, who was that wanted to play kind of fast and could keep up for 10 to 15 minutes, and of course they just wore down. So I think it's going to be with Iona. If probably they're going to want to be selective in their running. If they have the numbers, they try to look to push. But I think we're kind of going to see more of a half-court game for them because that's the only way they're going to be able to stay in the game. They don't have a whole lot of depth. Right, and neither does Carolina, assuming that Leaky Black and Sterling Manley aren't going to play.
Right. Yeah,
it hasn't been
right about that.
It hasn't been really said what's their status is. According to R.L. Bynum, I saw him tweet earlier in the week after Roy's radio show that the way Roy sounded when talking about those two guys' availability, it's pretty much going to be emergency-only situations. So that's kind of limbo because normally we like to have those 9 or 10 guys. Right now we're playing 8.
Right.
And that means that your bench guys got to be really good. And that includes Nazir Little and Brandon Robinson. They got to keep on being contributors off the bench. And for Seventh Woods, coming in and doing what you do best. Run the offense and play solid defense. Don't take any bad shots or do anything out of your comfort zone. So, but all in all, this game should be a fairly easy game for Carolina to move on into the round of 32. But look, we saw what happened last year with Virginia. So now every 16 seed knows there's a chance. Now they can actually believe it's possible. And just like you said, this is probably the best of the 16 seeds. And if Carolina comes out, they're not getting, they're not chunking, or they're not hitting threes,
right,
and all this other stuff, and Iona can shoot the three really well. All of a sudden, this game has potential to kind of be close going into the second half and potentially late in the second half.
Well, I mean, the other thing is you can't panic because we saw that against Florida Gulf Coast a few years ago. And, I mean, we were trailing, we were leading by 1 at halftime. And Roy pretty much said, this team is terrible. Got everything turned in the right direction in the second half and calmed people down. I think, look, Iona, they get out. If they can get some easy baskets, which, look, it can happen because we've had those moments where we've turned the ball over. And I don't know if we're going to be able to completely shut that off in this game. I mean, when you look at this Iona basketball team, and they force 6.8 steals per game, so solid. That's the thing. If they're able to get high percentage looks, I mean, look, they're a team that shoots the ball pretty well. I mean, they shoot 45.3% from the field. Now, 35.1% from deep, yeah, not great. And then here's where Carolina has to dominate. And you've talked about it all year. They got to dominate this team on the glass, and very well should. This team averages just 34.4 rebounds a game. That's the area that Carolina should do their most damage. And I think, for Carolina, look, the talent level is definitely a lot better. I don't know if this has the feel of the Texas Southern game from the 2017 run where we just absolutely destroyed them. I think it might be a little closer just because of the experience, because they've got a coach in Tim Kluse that is well respected throughout college basketball as a mid-major coach. So I think Carolina will win. It might take a little bit longer, but I think it's probably comfortable to say it's somewhere in that 20 to 25 point range, somewhere around there, maybe even gets up into that, near that 30 point range, but it'll probably be, where we pull away from them late. And the guy that, I think we're going to be talking about, I think Cam Johnson is going to step up and have a good game. He really, I think, a lot of people were critical of his performance in the second half of the Duke game, and I don't really know what happened. I mean, he came out of the gate just absolutely on fire. One of the best starts that you'll see in a basketball game ever. And I guess he cooled off and was never really able to get back on track. He ends up missing the three that a lot of people thought was going down, and I don't really know how you can blame him for that. I mean, it looked good from most people's perspective and just rolled out, but I think he steps up and has a real big game, and Carolina handles Iona with some ease, but not total ease.
Yeah, this is a good game for, I think, our shooters to get back on track, because Iona, as good as they shoot it, they don't defend the three as well. And this could be I've believed all along since it became evident Kenny was going to struggle all year that it just mirrored what Marcus Page was doing his senior year, but come March, he was just going to be a different player and make big shots. In today's open practice session, he made 18 straight threes. I mean, I know it's open practice and all this other. That's hard to do. I mean, unless you're Steph Curry, no one just does that.
I can't even hit a free throw. So
I think there is potential for the shooters to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this is a game for Luke May to just dominate, just because of the size inside. I think the thing that I'm going to watch the most. It's how do our freshmen look, understanding that now every time you walk on the court, it could be your last time. And especially for Kobe and Nazir, every time this could be the last time they put that uniform on because of their NBA aspirations. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go with Cam, and I think Cam's going to have a good game. Mm-hmm. He wasn't bad against Duke, 23 on 8 of 18. It was just he just calmed down, and it was all just like, what happened? Because he had that look early, like, okay, he might go for 30 and might not miss, and it just didn't happen that way for him.
Can we mention this really quickly? Am I the only one that on that last possession, and I hate to turn it back to the Duke game, but just really quickly, am I the only one that wanted that ball in Cam's hand just because of the experience and because I knew they were looking for the win from 3 as opposed to going inside? I knew that the minute they were bringing the ball up the court and Kobe pretty much, by stepping back and taking that 3, pretty much, I guess sealed my faith.
I didn't have a problem with Kobe taking the 3. I just think, a lot of stuff that happened and didn't expect to happen. Trey Jones pressured in the backcourt. Mm-hmm. You don't see that a lot when a team's in the bonus like Carolina was. Luke May didn't set a good screen. And so just all this other stuff factored into it. I bet if they could draw it up again, that ball maybe gets to Cam. Mm-hmm. But also I have a lot of confidence in Kobe pulling up for a three-pointer off the dribble as much as I do get swinging it over to Cam and then taking a stationary shot. So, but overall, I think this is a good mm-hmm. start for Carolina to make a good run.
Right.
This team looks a lot more focused than the team last year did. And maybe that's just a byproduct of we're a lot more older. And you heard Cam Johnson say, I don't have a national championship. I don't have a Final Four.
Exactly.
It's go time. For Kenny and Luke, you have a chance to do something that no one's ever done for Roy Williams, and that's win 2 national championships. Also, playing 3 Final Fours. I mean, there's just a lot on the line here for those kind of guys, and they have the look that they're focused. I think we could trust this team a lot more than we trusted last year's team, which is kind of odd.
Right.
With all the leadership on last year's team, but this team just has that kind of feel, and I think they'll get a good start to a deep run tomorrow night with a solid win over Iona.
The difference with this team is that you talked about the guys. Look, Cam Johnson doesn't have one. He has the loss in the round of 32 to A&M, like he said. Kenny Williams, he's got a national championship, but really, when you look back on that team, how important of a piece was Kenny Williams in most people's minds? Really was just a bench player. And then Luke May was a guy that really before the first Kentucky game in the CBS Classic that season, most people were afraid to see on the floor. If he was on the floor, people were like, well, we're in foul trouble. This isn't good. So what I'm trying to say is those guys weren't the key pieces at that time. Now they're the key pieces. They're the guys that if they lose, that's their last game. We know that's their last game. And then you mentioned both Kobe and Nazir. It looks like there's a really good chance that both of those guys could end up leaving for the NBA. So, I mean, look, that's 5 guys, 5 out of your top 6 players that know, hey, when you lose, that's it. You're done. You're on to your next chapter. And we heard early in the year, if you guys didn't see it, Nazir Little had an interview with, I don't remember who it was, one of the reporters. And they asked him what he thought about the criticism from the Cleveland scout who said that he wasn't playing enough and really just what his opinion was on that. And, of course, he said, I'm not worried about that. But the main thing that stuck out for me was he said, look, I know why I'm here. I want to win a title. Kobe has said the same thing. These guys want to win a title, and they know they're probably going to the NBA, so this is our one chance. I think they're extra motivated, and it'll start tomorrow at roughly 9:20.
We hope.
We're probably I would guess more around like 9:45, I guess, would probably be my best guess, is probably when they'll get underway. Of course, that one will follow Utah State and Washington State after today's results. I'll give you a couple from the Midwest bracket. Auburn and New Mexico State played earlier today, an absolute thriller. You were actually talking to your dad about that one right before we got on here for the podcast. That game finished 78-77, and what a chance at the buzzer for New Mexico State. They had an unbelievable comeback and nearly found a way to upset Auburn, as Auburn just almost completely collapsed. And that was with Auburn not shooting the three all that well in that game. They actually decided to go inside with the basketball, so threw all of us off after we talked about that for like 20 minutes on the preview of the Midwest region.
Right.
They were like, yep, we're just going to put the ball inside, guys. Kansas and Northeastern, some people thought maybe Northeastern has a chance. Kansas won 87-53. So you can tell that Kansas, little extra motivation. And, of course, we all know that if they get to the Sweet 16, they could meet Carolina, and it would be in Kansas City. So they get off to a good start as well. So now Auburn and Kansas, those two teams are going to meet in what should be a thrilling game on Saturday. Don't know the time on that one, but keep an eye out for that, guys.
All right, so appreciate the update of the West bracket. Currently, Kentucky is in action right now. Safe to say they're going to win their game with Abilene Christian. It's a double-digit lead already. The Pantsless coach, or the hole in the pants coach, is not going for not bringing the same magic it brought him in the conference tournament. So, is there anything else we need to get done before we get out of here?
No, not really. But I guess you can mention Wofford Seton Hall.
Yeah, they'll be later tonight.
That'll be a fantastic.
That's one of the games I will have my eye on closely, because that is, of course, our region, and those are two of my favorite teams to watch.
Telling you, the winner of that game could be dangerous for Kentucky.
We got to remember Seton Hall beat Kentucky in the Garden back in December.
And that was with P.J. Washington.
Yeah.
P.J. Washington not playing tonight, has a hard cast on, I think it's his right foot. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's the right foot. And there are a lot of people think, okay, well, he's just going to play on Saturday.
He was on a scooter in their pregame warmups tonight, so
unless he's got some magic in that foot, I don't see him coming back for Saturday. And neither one of those teams are going to be easy. They could definitely use him, even if it's Wofford against Cam Thomas. And if it's Seton Hall, they've been beaten by them already this year. Watch out.
Yeah.
So, keep an eye on that game tonight. Should be a very interesting one.
All right, so that's all we're going to get done for here. You know where to find the Roy's Boys podcast: Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The blog as well, medium.com, Facebook, and Twitter. And Anthony's with the Heel Tough blog with spring practice back underway this past week. And some good stuff coming out this week. And the spring game's, 2-3 weeks away now?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks away. I know my next piece that I'm going to do is going to be on the backfield, because we got so many guys back there that are going to be battling for positions. And keep an eye on my podcast feed for tonight. We're going to have Sam Doughton. He actually stopped by yesterday and talked to us a little bit about some stuff at spring camp, and I thought it was just fantastic, the information that he gave us. Sam Doughton of the Argyle Report, he's fantastic. If you guys want to give him a follow and check that out. And then he's actually going with the team to Columbus, so he will potentially, we could hit him up on here and see if he can give us some insight on the team when they get back from Columbus and before they head out to Kansas City.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. Go Tar Heels.